Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about customizing your user environment. I believe that's one of our objectives, something along those lines. So, the main way you customize your user environment are through a couple files that get created, they get executed when you log on or when you execute your shell. There are two files with Bash that you worry about. If you're using a shell other than Bash, they also have files like this that you can use. And you can also just have a .profile file, which I haven't talked about any files yet, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. The files in question are hidden files. They begin with a dot, so you need to give it the -A to find those files. In this case, we have a Bash profile file and a Bash RC file. And we have two files that essentially do the same thing. There is a minor difference. They both get executed anytime you log in or anytime you run the Bash shell from another shell, or anytime you leave the Bash shell. When you come back to the Bash shell, they get run. Apparently, the only difference is the Bash RC file will also be run when you start Bash from within the Bash shell. So if you're in the Bash shell and you start another Bash shell, that will run. Or if you are using VI, and you remember how you can get out of VI and execute commands, you can do like, VI, and you can do something like, run a command this way or something. Or how was it? This way? Yeah. You can run Bash that way, and the Bash RC file will be run that way, but apparently the Bash profile does not. The question is, does it really matter? Oh yeah, I guess in some cases it's going to matter. But if we look at the files, the Bash profile actually calls the Bash RC file if it exists. So this part says, if there is a Bash RC file, execute it, and then do some stuff. Right? So my recommendation, if you think this is cool and want to use these files to customize your environment, my recommendation is to go ahead and put everything in your Bash RC file, because it's going to get run no matter what. So that's what I would recommend. If we recall this magic little dot here, that causes us to run the script in the same shell instead of spawning a subshell. That will cause problems, because if you run a script that runs in a subshell, anything it changes will not be propagated back up to the parent shell. So you will not get the benefit of those changes. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and look at the Bash RC file. I'm actually in EC2 user's home directory because I'm making the changes for EC2 user, and then I'll issue to EC2 user so we can see what we want it to have. So what did I do that for? I want to edit it. So we go to the Bash RC file. It basically says if etc Bash RC file exists, then execute that. The etc Bash RC file sets some default settings for all users on the system. So if you're the system administrator and you want to proactively set the UMask, if we recall, the UMask is our file creation mask. It says that tells what permissions to create files with. If you want to proactively set the UMask value for all your users, you can do that in the etc Bash RC file. If you have a special UMask you want to put, you could set that in your Bash RC file. So let's go do that. Let's do that for fun. We can say UMask, 077. So that's going to create files that are not, that's going to set so files are created with no permissions for anybody else. So we'll put that in there. Another thing you can do, you can customize your environment by changing your prompt. The prompt is stored in the PS1 variable, so you can set it to whatever you want it to say. Right now it has this big long thing that tells you what your directory is and some other stuff. But you can set it to whatever you want your prompt to say. Right? You can also alias commands. So, for example, if you always do long listings of ls, but you don't want to type ls space l or whatever because that's too much effort, you could alias l equals ls-l. So I'll do a long listing. I always do ls lart, so I'll make an alias for lr for riches ls equals ls-lart. So that's something else you can do in there. You can alias commands. You can also set environment variables. Say if you wanted to have everybody have some common environment variables so that your programs would work or whatever, you could do that. So I will set the an environment variable called ex home, just for fun. And I'll set that to home exercises. That's where we need to copy our files to when we're done with our exercises, for example. So we'll get out of there. So now I will SU to the EC2 user account, and well, first let's take that off. I'm going to SU to the EC2 user account and see what happens. Oh, it didn't like my file. 12 and 14. Let's see what the problem is. Oh. 12 and 14. 12. 12. It doesn't like my alias. Oh, here's a problem. I had a single quote up here and a double quote over here. So that's another good thing that I screwed that up. So we could, again, be reminded when we're debugging commands, don't put too much faith in what it tells you, because it told me that the problem's on line 12. Well, line 12 down here, but the problem was up here. So that was good. Good error. I did that on purpose. So now if we SU to the EC2 user, it logs in and it picks up the environment. So I have my new prompt. If I see what my UMask is, it's 0077, which is what I set it to. If I look at my $ex home variable, it's set. If I run my LL, that does my magic command. If I do my LR, that alias is my command. So that's really about it for setting up your environment. You can put any stuff you want in there, any normal commands. So if every time you log in to the system you're running a certain number of commands to set up your environment to do what you need to do, you can put those commands into the bash RC file, and that will take care of that. Another file our book talks about that I've never actually used, but we'll try it out right now, is the exrc file. This file, it claims you can put in special VI things to set your VI settings by default. So if you want to see line numbers every time you log in, apparently you can do set number. And now if you run VI, it's going to put line numbers automatically. So let's go VI an actual file. So VI, what on the VI? There we go, vi.bashrc. Now it puts the line numbers in there by default. So any VI things that you can put in there, put in your file, any VI commands you can execute while you're in VI, apparently you can put in that exrc. Here's one that looks kind of cool. Says you can set tab stop equal 3. That's cool, because my default number of characters that I tab over when I'm indenting code is 3. Hey, check that out. Now it does the number command. Hey, I didn't even know that. I'm going to go create me a exrc file right now and put 3 in it, because that's what I always tab over. I usually use the 3 arrows, but that'd be awesome. So I'm going to start doing that. So that's about all we're going to talk about as far as customizing your environment.